Colorado Supreme Court disqualified Trump from the 2024
this was
ballot.
last night.
This is last night. Breaking news. So basically, what happened was, it really is, I mean, basically the gist of it was, we're going to prevent democracy to stop the ruining of democracy.
So he can't be on the Republican primary ballot, I believe, in the state of Colorado.
I was kind of thinking about how doing a news thing about this, but it's basically like, it was like, we found out because of this law, and they've also said, if not because of this one, we will find another one. It really is.
Well, that's what's the famous like Russian thing? Show me the man, I'll show you the crime. Whatever, like
show me the
Stalin
Trump.
or whatever. You go, I'll
show me the Trump, I'll show you the crime.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's exactly what's going on.
And the stupid thing is you almost think they're trying to help him win when they do this stuff, because everybody knows this is bullshit. And then now, so what? There's going to be a protracted. They have to go to the.
Oh, there's a protracted in the Senate.
Yeah. But now they got to go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has to decide on whether or not he's allowed to be on the ballot in Colorado. And
so what happened was, it was. This one's
2024 is going to be lit.
Ratified after the Civil War, the 14th Amendment says officials who take an oath to support the Constitution are banned from future office if they engaged in insurrection.
Okay.
So there's
wasn't an insurrection though.
Well, he didn't. Yeah, like, so they literally found this word and they were just like, I think we could push this.
Yeah, we can push this.
But you're right. And I've said this before, but maybe not this exactly, but with this, because I agree with you that it's really adding up to being like, you can only push it so far where people are like, yo, you guys are fucking corrupt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, this is what they do in other countries that America has famously always made fun of and kind of thought that they were better than, like, and I will say that with the January 6th thing specifically, that like my opinion
do you know what
they reacted
this other insurrection in the Senate would be called?
What's that?
January dicks.
Nice. But America famously is just so much better than these like banana republics, and I think America was very like the political ruling elite class was very embarrassed by January 6th. If anything, it wasn't an insurrection. I think they obviously call it that for political gain, but it was embarrassing for the country because this just was the type of thing that didn't happen in America. America was always like better than that.
Okay.
So I guess they're trying to call this thing an insurrection, and it wasn't though. But then they're doing the stuff of 91 charges against Trump and this shit and this. I don't know. It's very.
Well, it's kind of like, I think when it was really just Trump before, right? And they were trashing Trump, and they'd go, he said this and he didn't, like, and then they kind of pick this guy and this guy and this guy, and it was like, just imagine you were like in your normal life, right? Someone's like, oh, I fucking hate this guy. You don't know him that well, and you're like, okay, right? Imagine someone was like, to me, goes, oh, Danny Polishuk, that guy's racist. And I was like, he's not. I already know that.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, well, now I know that you're lying.
Of course.
So be like, and they just did this over and over again where they were saying things that you could see with your own eyes. You know what I mean? People would be like, Andrew Tate said this, and you're like, I watched the clip. Like, I'm not
you didn't say that.
A mental patient. Like, I watched it. You watch it and you go, he was kidding. And they go, he said that the women could this, and you go, I was watching, he was making a joke.
He was making a joke.
I have eyes, and you have eyes. You watched it. So there was just too many people. It was so obvious that they were lying. And I think this stuff is really going to make people.
Well, Trump, they had that. Like, I mean, you can't forget, they had 3 to 4 years of all the Russia collusion, all the stuff that they were saying about him that literally was on TV all day, every day.
Yeah.
It was dominated. Every single facet of your life was all the stuff he was doing, then all turned out to be bullshit, and it's hard to believe that people, that's not working against them now when they're trying all this stuff. But if they somehow manage to get Trump not allowed to run, I'm very curious what's going to happen.
Well, there's a bunch of people that when you kind of look at it, one way is like, are Democrats just better at politics than Republicans? You know what I mean? There's a part of it that where you're just like,
seems like it,
because you could be like, it's corrupt, and you're like, well, I guess all of them are kind of doing corrupt shit. Like, you watch House of Cards or a show like that, and you're like all doing this. You're like, so if that's the case, like, I don't know if I would think that the Republicans are like much better. So you go, are they just so much better at pulling bullshit?
I mean, Democrats seem like they are better at politics. Yeah. For sure.
Something like that, maybe. But yeah, there's this other part where I feel like to some degree it seems like it is getting like people ready for war. But if you combine this where you go, just anyone with their eyes can be like, obviously this is an abuse of, probably every regulatory body, right?
Yeah.
And then you go, Rudy Giuliani's just getting like wrecked in civil court. Elon Musk is like, they're just harassing that guy at this point, whether you like him or not. They got like the SEC going after him. They're taking his Starlink contracts away.
The deep state.
They're trying to like hit his Tesla credits and be like, these aren't like.
They did take away Tesla credits.
But that's what I'm. Sorry,
last weekend.
I said they're trying to, but you're right. They did.
Yeah.
But I was kind of saying, you can't look at that whole thing and then be like, you have to, because obviously at first people will be like, you want to be like, well, I don't know if he did the crime, then just like in Russia, you same thing. Well, if he was talking bad, the crime's a crime. But there is a point where I think any normal person is just like, all right, you are pushing it.
Yeah, of course. But again, the question is are they just going to do this in front of our faces, where they straight up say like, yeah, we are pushing it, and we're going to remove him? And
that's the question.
What are you going to do about it?
And I guess they're right. What are you going to do about it other than like get mad?
Everybody who has all the guns, I guess, to do something. The question is, people's lives are so comfortable here. It's not the type of thing where people are struggling for food and stuff like that. Like,
because there's a lot of people calling it out, but you're right. What are you going to do about it?
Well, you could form militias and everybody can grab all their guns and go do a real insurrection, I guess.
No, this is, if I'm being realistic.
But not going to happen.
This is why I always kind of like, the tech opinions more than the political opinions. Because a lot of times the political space is sort of like narrowly thinking. Uh-huh. But if you go, really what happens is like they are smart, the Democrats or whatever, and there's probably like some smart politicians in the Republican Party. Like there's probably a lot of smart people, maybe not the most smart, but not smarter than the Peter Thiels of the world. And it's like, or Elon Musk, like these people are just Bill Gates, whatever. Like I'm sure these people are just smarter, right?
Yeah.
So if some of these people are solving the problem, being like, okay, I think maybe what happens is there's so much money and brain power. So some of these other people enter the game being like, okay, let's play that game. How about this lawyer that's 10 times smarter than your lawyer? Like, I think.
Yeah. I guess it's a question of is the deep state kind of, how real is the deep state, the concept of that? And can they just say, hey, this guy can't, pull the strings and this guy can't be the president and there's nothing you can do about it.
That is the question. Like, how real is it? And
they're not trying to. This isn't.
I mean, it already.
This isn't taking out Bernie Sanders in 2016 or whatever, where Bernie Sanders was going to be the candidate, and then they're kind of like, no, we want Hillary Clinton, and it's like that kind of behind the scenes shit. This is way more overt to say, hey, we're just throwing the book at Trump so that he can't run when he's for sure going to be the candidate. I mean, dude, the stuff. Maybe I'm out of touch. But when you see them running these polls, they're like, Nikki Haley is really challenging Trump. I'm like, no fucking way Nikki Haley is challenging Trump.
Yeah.
Like, where?
She's going to get the Hillary Clinton treatment until if she was the person, then she wouldn't anymore. But she's going to get the treatment. It was like, Nikki Haley looked stunning. You know what I mean?
I'm sure. Everybody's like, oh, Nikki Haley's really on Trump's heels. I'm like, no, you want that to be the case.
Yeah, you'd like that.
So you're saying that, and maybe you found some.
It's like when JJ tells us someone that he likes, he goes, he fucking crushes. And you watch, he's like pretty mediocre comedian. Yeah. Fuck, he obliterated.
Yeah, you're like, no.
Pretty normal.
But it seems like they're trying to make, Nikki Haley happen. They want her to be the candidate, so then they're just going to will it into existence by saying, yeah, I mean, look, if you probably go on TV and start saying Nikki Haley's doing really well, some people probably like, oh shit, Nikki Haley's doing well. Maybe I should vote for her.
I know.
And then you could just make it happen. But it doesn't seem, I mean, I watched some of the debates. It doesn't seem like she's doing that great.
No, her own people don't like her, that's for sure. I think the other people on the other side probably like her more than her people do.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, anyways, it was pretty wild. I guess you will see what happens with all that stuff. But
we got a banger of a year coming up.
But I think that, you talk about like, they already, to some degree, you have to also win hearts and minds. You can't just be corrupt and unfair.
No.
You know what I mean? And I think that so many hearts and minds have like turned against all this shit. And, the fact that Twitter exists right now and people can actually say what's happening, like...
There is an element, though, where sometimes they try...
components taken down a little bit.
Yeah, they try and make people apathetic, though, and not vote at all, which sometimes...
They confuse you.
They confuse you, and then you're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not voting at all, and sometimes that's a win for them.
It does work.
Yeah.
You do get a little bit, like, fatigued.
Yeah, fatigued, and you're just like, you know what, fuck this, and you're just like, I'm not even voting. We'll see what happens, and then sometimes, depending on what side you're on, that is a win.
I know.
So...